The Switch 2 came out about a week ago and is already one of the best-selling consoles of all time. It has sold over 3.5 million units and is Nintendo's fastest-selling console to date.
Hell no.
Yeah, so much for the boycott, guys. I just want to point out that majority of Nintendo's customers are grown-ass adults, so naturally I would expect these people to want more as consumers. But apparently, they'll just eat anything Nintendo feeds them. They'll ignore all of the mediocre and overpriced products as long as Nintendo gives them more Mario and Zelda.
Oh my god, is that a Nintendo alarm clock? $100? Oh, I wish I could give them more money. I love Nintendo.
When you get out of bed, Alarmo stops automatically without you needing to touch it. Keep in mind, though, the alarm will get more intense the longer it takes for you to get up.
I need it!
Hey, you guys remember when Nintendo released the Labo and it was just an excuse to sell 2 cardboard craft kits for $70 and $80? You must think I'm stupid if you think I'm gonna spend $80 on cardboard. Huh? Wait. You're telling me Nintendo made this cardboard? Nintendo made this cardboard? Why didn't you tell me sooner? I gotta buy it now. I gotta pre-order it.
No. The thing in the fridge is definitely not human meat.
The first Nintendo Switch has the same hardware capabilities of a rock found in my backyard. But these fanboys will still find excuses to praise this console as if it was a gift from God himself. They don't need to rely on fancy graphics to make good games, unlike other studios. They focus purely on gameplay and the player experience. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when a game struggles to run because the hardware is so dog shit, it kind of makes the player experience miserable. Everyone loves to shut on other companies for releasing poorly optimized games, but for some reason Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gets a 10 out of 10, even though it dips down to 20 frames. 20 frames for a AAA game released in 2023, running on first-party hardware.
Video capture managed to maintain a solid 30 frames per second, at least in most instances. Now, it's not 100% perfect, mind you, and I did find ways to trigger a drop in frame rate. In most instances, it's the result of using the Ultra Hand feature. When you first toggle this in a busy area especially, the frame rate is sure to dip, and when it does, it drops straight to 20 FPS. It kinda reminds me of more old school games in some ways. You know, the slowdown that only occurs in busy scenes.
Yeah, you know, the frame dips remind me of old school games that ran like shit because they were old. Bro is saying that like it was an intentional design choice. Just say it how it is. Because the hardware is shit and it can't handle the game. This game came out in 2023 and it runs at a resolution of 720 to 900p and it still dips down to 20 frames. How is this acceptable? I guess a game running like shit is only acceptable if Nintendo made it. Not only that, but it's the same map as Breath of the Wild. Again, I'm just confused because other companies would be getting so much shit for pulling something like that. This may be the same map, but it in no way feels repetitive. Oh my god, man, 10 out of 10, this game's a fucking master.
He's pulling his cock out!
Holy fucking glaze, bro. Yeah, maybe the map felt fresh because it's been an entire 6 years since you played the first one. Ubisoft is a terrible company. It's so repetitive. All you do is in their games is fight bad guys and climb up towers to unlock more parts of the map. Long ass, extra ass cutscene, bro. So dramatic just for me to fucking update my map. Yeah, I just love doing a bunch of different shrines with slightly different puzzles to upgrade Link. That totally doesn't get repetitive at all. Like, it's the same gameplay loop. You guys just want to hate on Ubisoft because they're Ubisoft. Thank God the Switch 2 has good specs this time around. Finally, the devs don't have to use sticks and rocks to make games anymore. They can use actual technology. Dear Nintendo fans, just because we criticize things doesn't mean we hate them. it means we expect and want more out of them. They're not a small indie studio. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. And I just find it hilarious because some people genuinely view Nintendo as a friend instead of a greedy corporation trying to siphon money out of their wallets. I've seen a few posts like these where people had to scrape whatever money that they could find just to save up enough to buy a Switch 2. And listen, I'm no financial advisor, but if you're struggling to save up enough to even buy a Switch 2, you probably shouldn't be buying a Switch 2. You should probably, put that in your savings somewhere. Again, not a financial advisor, but it just seems like, the responsible adult thing to do. But why not just give more money to Nintendo, man? Just fucking, at this point, just fucking give them your house or whatever. Struggling to make ends meet, to pay rent at my 1-bedroom apartment, and I'm eating canned beans and rice every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you know what? Switch 2, that's more important. I will skin a homeless man and sell his skin on the black market so I can get a Switch 2. Yeah, man, I gotta play that new Mario Kart World, man. That new one game that's out, because that's literally like the only fucking new game you can play on this. This is the greatest Mario Kart ever made, man. You can play as a cow. That's how good this game is. It's beautiful. This game's a masterpiece.
Mario Kart World is a fucking masterpiece. I love the open world mechanic and the free roam. I really like how you can drive from one track to the other, and the graphics are gorgeous. My personal favorite Mario Kart.
Brother, the game came out one day after you posted this. Holy meat rind, bro. Bro is shaking his controller doing air tricks on the meat, bro. Like, I don't even understand why you need a Switch 2 that badly right now. There's like literally nothing to play on this thing. I think it stems from most of these fanboys being sad in their current life. They think of the better times growing up playing on the old Nintendo consoles. An evil, cold-blooded Nintendo knows this and utilizes nostalgia to take advantage of these people. The Switch 2 has a better display than the OLED Switch 1. When this was posted, the console hadn't even been released yet. Like, bitch, how are you claiming these things when the fucking console isn't even in your hands yet? Which brings me to my next point. The Switch 2 should have had an OLED display. There's a lot of cope going around saying the Switch 2 display looks better than the OLED Switch 1. Like, sure, in certain scenes, it might look better, but overall the contrast is going to be better on an OLED. Oh, but the Switch 2 has HDR. Yeah, the Switch 2 has HDR. But have you ever thought of OLED plus HDR? Has that ever crossed your stupid fucking head? This thing should have just came with all of the bells and whistles. But no, Nintendo's going to release an updated OLED version a couple years later so they can swindle more money out of these people. Oh, but an LCD panel keeps the cost down. Bro, Nintendo is greedy. They don't care about keeping costs down. They're literally charging you to upgrade your Switch 1 games to Switch 2. I have to pay another $10 just to play the upgraded version of a game I already paid $70 for. Upgrade now for improved frame rates and resolution, faster loading times. Okay, hold on. Let me get this straight. You're telling me I bought your first console, and now I buy your second console for $450. And I have to pay another $10 just to utilize the hardware that I spent $450 on to play the upgraded version of a game I already spent $70 on. What the fuck? Oh, great. Another $20 just to be able to play upgraded Mario Party. Let's fucking go, dude. Meanwhile, PlayStation offers free upgrades from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. Who would have thought of that? Free upgrades. Wow, what a revolutionary concept. Imagine being able to use the hardware that you fucking paid for. That's a crazy concept, guys. Oh, but you can just play the non-upgraded version for free on the Switch 2. Then why the fuck did I pay $450? Damn! I feel like it's well known at this point that Nintendo doesn't play nice with anyone because they only care about profits and their own image. They love to go after and shut down fan-made projects that don't even make any money. As a company, wouldn't you want your fans to create and enjoy free things made using your IPs? Like, it's just free promotion for you. Just look at Bethesda. A popular free fan-made remake of Bethesda's game Oblivion was in the works. Bethesda later releases their own remake of Oblivion before the fan one is finished, but they invited the devs of the fan project to their offices, praised them for their work and the love of their franchise, and gave them free copies of the official remake. It's almost like they actually care and treat their fans with goodwill. Imagine a company having so much ego that they get insulted anytime someone tries to do anything with their properties. That's actual loser energy. Hey, remember when Nintendo tried to sue Palworld because they had monsters you can capture by throwing a ball at? As if that's some revolutionary concept. This game literally had the same concept before Pokemon came out. Imagine if GTA sued every single open world game where you could steal a car. That would just be stupid, but you know, it's Nintendo. It's Nintendo.
Don't worry, Nintendo. I'll defend you from the haters.
The gameplay loop of Palworld isn't even remotely the same as Pokemon. Nintendo just really loves money. They just love exercising control and bullying whenever they can. And Nintendo games never go on sale. Their games are timeless, and that is why their games are full price all the time and never on sale. They're literal masterpieces. Literally, why is Splatoon 2 still full price when Splatoon 3 has been out for years? What the fuck? And of course, Nintendo would be the company that starts the trend of pricing AAA games at $80. Now, I'm not here to argue about the economics of video game making, but these games have been $60 for as long as I can remember, and they've just recently increased to $70. And now you're telling me we're at $80 already?
Oh, but video games are getting more expensive to make.
Yeah, but are they getting any better?
Hey, look.
And what about DLC? Microtransactions? What about the monthly subscription service you need to play online? Those anti-consumer practices are still commonplace, and they have the nerve to increase the base price of the games. And speaking of online subscription services, Nintendo Switch Online is horrible. Playing Smash Online is the equivalent of watching a slideshow presentation, and you gotta buy a separate Ethernet adapter add-on just to get any decent connection because Nintendo couldn't be bothered to include that in the base system of the Switch 1, unlike their competitors. Wow, we can finally talk online using a Nintendo system. Xbox has had this feature for over 20 years. But finally, thank you, Nintendo. Thank you, you fucking caveman corporation. You finally added a fucking feature that has been on every single modern day system. Thank you.
I actually appreciate that they showed the video lag in the screen sharing during game chat versus showing pre-rendered video making it look smoother than it actually is. A level of transparency that most companies don't adhere to. What the fuck does it matter though? Like what? What does that matter though? They're showing you it looks like shit, so that means you're gonna eat the shit? What?
I also love how this welcome tour game, which is essentially an interactive manual on how to use your Switch 2, is not even packaged with the Switch 2. They charge you a separate $10 just to play it. Of course, abusive and controlling Nintendo would create their own application specifically to listen to Nintendo music because they don't want to share and put it on fucking major streaming platforms like every other goddamn company because they want all the control. I want control. Now, I'm not saying they have to reinvent the wheel or anything, but for how much praise Nintendo gets, you would think that they would be doing some crazy shit in the gaming industry, but they're not. They're just doing the bare minimum. Let's take a look at the Mario Party franchise. The first Mario Party to come out for the Switch was god-awful. The game lacked aspects of competitiveness and RNG mayhem that made the older titles fun. Random changes that people didn't like were added, like not being able to roll a 10 with normal dice, and special character dice, which discourages you from playing the actual character you want because certain characters have better dice than others. Why? They also forced you to use motion controls because a lot of the mini games depended on it, and of course in classic Nintendo fashion, there's no option to turn it off. I'm so glad that I bought the Nintendo Switch Pro controller for $70 just to not be able to use it with this fucking game that Nintendo literally made. God. Not only that, but there were only 4 boards. 4 boards. $60 for a new Mario Party game on the most popular Nintendo console to date, and they only had 4 boards for it. Not to mention they look lifeless and have terrible layouts. At least they had 80 minigames though. But oh my goodness, they ended up releasing another one, which did away with all the shitty features people dislike, and this time it had 5 boards. Wow. And 100 minigames. Except they're all remakes from the previous Mario Party entries. That'll be another $60, please. But, oh my, what's that? Is that another Mario Party game? This time with all of the stuff people originally wanted in the first place? The first actual good Mario Party game for the Switch? 3 games and $180 later. They finally got it down, guys. Great job. Thank you, Nintendo. Except this version has the least amount of minigames compared to the last 2 entries, with only 78 in the main game mode, with only 63 total if you decide to turn off motion controls, because Nintendo can never do anything right. Okay, maybe I was being a little too harsh here. You know, Nintendo is still a small indie company, and you know, they're still trying to figure out the correct formula for Mario Party games. I mean, this series has only been around for like 20-something years, so they haven't had quite enough time to perfect the formula yet, you know, let's just let them keep cooking. Like, how do people shit on all the yearly released sports games, but every Pokemon game entry has people losing their minds? Only recently have people actually started growing a brain to start criticizing their laziness. And I know Nintendo doesn't directly own or develop Pokemon games, but they publish them. And the fact that they allow the developers Game Freak to create such mediocre Pokemon games tells me how lazy Nintendo is as well. They could easily intervene or delay the product, but see no need to, because they know Pokemon will just print them infinite money. It's literally the highest grossing franchise of all time worldwide. Why make any actual improvements when you have no competition and you can just get away with releasing slop? The Pokemon franchise has been suffering from a lack of innovation for so long that adding an open world became something people were excited for. Yeah, you know, that feature that's been popular in modern gaming for like 20 years. They're just finally now getting to it. Except the open world looks like this. Because like I mentioned earlier, the OG Switch specs are dog piss. I'm surprised this thing can even run Tetris. Oh look, the Switch 2 has a mouse feature. Let me just adjust my sensitivity real quick. Oh great, there's only 3 options. What the fuck? How hard is it to implement a slider? In what conceivable world is it okay to only have low, medium, and high options when changing mouse sensitivity? You're fucking nintarded, bro. Classic Nintendo. Fucking stupid. And we still don't have any background themes for the Switch. It's gotten to the point where people make their own mock-up versions because they're so desperate. Honestly, I don't understand why Nintendo hasn't done this yet, other than the fact that they're lazy, because really it's just free money, you know. People are more than willing to pay for background themes on their Switch.
Oh, you tell me to make money from setting background for Switch.
Yes, please. I want to buy Switch backgrounds, please.
I love money.
But with all that being said, I will be buying a Switch 2 because I fucking love Nintendo. I'm so excited to see Mario's nipples in 4K.
Damn, Mario. You got them pepperonis on you. You're a plumber, right? I got some pipes I need to get filled.
Yeah, originally at the end of the video here, I was going to reveal that I actually bought a Switch 2 and it was going to be like a funny bit, but I couldn't find any in stock because all of the Nintendards bought all of the Switch 2s, so there's literally none in stock. Like, imagine how funny it would have been if I just whipped out a Switch 2 right now. I'm just kidding, I don't have one. Like I said, it's out of stock everywhere. That would have been so funny though. That would have been hilarious. Again, I don't have one.